Hi, I'm Laura Colomajek and I'll be your host for tonight's episode of Undercurrent. Perth's rail system has been benchmarked one of the worst in the world. And with the news of Metronet upgrade, I look into the project and when we can expect to see some changes. We've all heard the news. Perth is set to have a huge multi-million-dollar facelift to our transport system. But where is it all at? With claims the project has not been fully funded and budget blowouts, the project's predicted completion date of 2019 could be going off the rails. Peter, tell us a history about the Metronet.
Well, I think I would go back to 1979 when the Sir Charles Court government closed the Fremantle Railway down. And there was a big reaction, and I ran a campaign for the Friends of the Railways. It was a massive exercise and we won. In 1983, they brought back the Fremantle line, but then what do you do next? And there were plans set in place for the next 40 years, which slowly have happened. We electrified the system, we took it to the northern suburbs, we took it to the southern suburbs, and now Metronet. Metronet is going around the whole city in a ring rail and going out to Ellenbrook, out to the airport and the hills, out to Byford, beyond Midland. These are extensions of the rail system which was going to be closed.
So how is this new access going to benefit Perth commuters?
Well, fundamentally, we were built around the car. From the 1950s on, the car was king, and all the suburbs were built based around the fact that everyone would just drive, with the odd bus or two. And that's not good enough, and a modern city has got to have other options. So it doesn't mean you don't have a car or access to a car, but it does mean that you don't have to depend on a car.
So do you think that's going to boost some tourism here in Perth?
Yeah, tourists don't drive. They might drive out in the countryside, but in the city, and they don't like buses either because they're confusing, don't know where they go. But trains you can adjust to. So around the world, tourists use trains, and that's a big part of it. Increasingly, we are getting a lot of tourists coming, and they do like to use our trains, and they like them. They're good.
In your opinion, do you think this project is going to benefit our economy?
The new economy needs us to live with less car dependence, and the cities that are getting rid of cars are doing better economically. The economy is moving much more towards centres. We need dense, mixed-use, walkable centres. That's where the action is, that's where the economy is going.
And there's been a few questions about the funding capabilities of the project. Can you give us some insight as to where that's coming from?
Well, in the last decade, I've spent a lot of time trying to get private sector money brought into the public transport system, because there's such a demand for it now. You say, well, it doesn't need to be a welfare system. It can be provided by the private sector. So I think we'll increasingly move down that track because it is a real option that everybody wants. It's politically important, but there's not enough government money to do all of the work. Light rail systems, which are needed in the inner 15-kilometre circle around the city, the inner suburbs, some of the middle suburbs, which are not part of Metronet, they need light rail, and that can be provided by the private sector. They can build it as part of redevelopment opportunities.
In your opinion, will this bring any environmental issues?
Well, I think every project has some kind of environmental issue. In the big picture, we have to get people out of cars in terms of climate change, in terms of air pollution. Diesel and gasoline emissions are not good for our health. In terms of urban sprawl, we've got to stop the urban sprawl. And the best way to do that is to build around railway stations. And that kind of opportunity, hugely environmentally valuable.
Minister, can you please tell us when the completion date for Metronet is due?
Oh, well, there's lots of projects. So, for example, Denny Avenue is going to be underway soon. We see Metronet as really the long-term plan. So there's a number of projects. We've got Coburn and Thornley Link and the Anship project starting next year. Lots of projects, so we're seeing it as a continued program of works. It means reduced traffic, better connectivity, and really gives lots of options for young and old people to connect from one point of the city to the next.
Can you tell us where the funding's coming from?
Well, it's through land sales, state government funding and also federal funding. They're the three main components of where we're getting our funds from.
And will there be any light rail additions in the future after this?
It's definitely the planning for the second stage. So we're planning for light rail for the second stage, and that's something that we're going to be starting to work with in relation to planning next year.
And will train fares be reduced?
Train fares probably won't be reduced, but what we're doing always is making sure we don't try and keep the increases to a minimum to really make sure it's affordable for families and everyone in WA.
This has been Laura reporting for Undercurrent. This week, the Wembley Golf Course held a special event for international students. A fruitful initiative by Mate Noz, its competition looks to be one of the most lucrative events for amateur golfers in WA. Max Larkin reports.
I'm here at the Wembley Golf Course covering the Space Cubed International Student Golf Tournament, where the winner gets a semester scholarship and the chance to network with other students from around the world. So Daniel, what's the ethos behind this event?
The ethos behind the event is basically to provide an opportunity for students across different sporting disciplines to participate in the sport that they love here in WA. So this is not the only event we're going to have. We've got about 6 events coming up, and this is the first of those events. I grew up playing golf, and through the chaos that I found when I came here in terms of trying to adapt to the environment and everything else, playing golf for Notre Dame when I did play for Notre Dame was quite the most memorable part of my university education. And we thought, sport being something that brings people from different cultures together and gives them a platform to not only perform, but to enjoy with somebody from a different culture than they come from. It gives them a base to start the interaction and the networking that goes, with it. We're trying to build a real student experience in Perth, and that goes from having a place to get assistance when you need assistance, having sport available for you if you want to play sport, and then helping you with work and jobs and networking and resumes and internships and everything else. So it's part of a wider strategy, and this obviously is a part that we also get to enjoy as well.
So I work for the West Australian Government. I look after international education. And so our role is to help grow the number of international students coming to Perth. We want to give them an outstanding education so they can go back into the world, their home country or elsewhere in the world, but also to grow them as people. So we work mostly through Study Perth, sponsor of this event, and I'm on the board there, and we work with all the universities and the vocational trainers, the schools, the pathway people, etc. So, and then we all work together to actually grow students as people. So this is a really important time in young people's lives. They're learning a lot, they're learning how to think, they're learning how to be successful in their careers. When students come here, we really want to do something a bit like the Christchurch High School motto, which is to grow good men. Coming to university or to a TAFE or to a private college or in school here is much more than about learning stuff. It's about learning about life, it's about meeting other people from other cultures, it's about growing as a person.
Much like this event, community we see is really important to people connecting and having that support network they need, and especially with international students, having that support network, not just with each other, but also then into industry, into the broader community, we see as a great thing and something that SpaceCube can really offer. So that's why we partnered with the tournament today.
We're teaching them how to survive in Australia, and it's not surviving through playing golf, but it's through interactions with different cultures, networking, and having to. You can do it in a way that you actually have fun doing something that you grew up doing.
Networking in sport, getting different experiences, meeting different people, doing things that they hadn't thought they might do is all very important.
I came here because the prize is pretty attractive. I get a semester off if I get to win the game.
The prize for today is a semester's fees, and the second prize is half a semester's fees. The third prize is a trip home. Or a holiday actually.
We are expecting to build something really big with these partners and with these events.
Michael Bett, Vitor de Souza Duarte, Lendup Gelchen, Dennis Limo, Hector Alvarado, Daniel Nazima.
This is the first golf event that we've hosted, so it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
This is the SpaceCube International Student Golf Tournament, and I'm Max Larkin for WTV.
Plastic bags are becoming a thing of the past, so Annabelle hits the streets to find out your views on the matter.
As the war against plastic bags intensifies and major retailers are putting a complete ban on these bags as of the 1st of July, it's important to take a step back and think about our alternatives. The reusable tote bags that can now be purchased will have to be used approximately 130 times to actually outweigh the carbon emission of regular plastic bags. Today we're taking to the streets of Perth to hear what the people have to say about it, whether they do think it's hygienic or not, and how often they will be inclined to use reusable totes. So firstly, what are your thoughts on the plastic bag ban that's about to be implemented?
I think it's an excellent idea, despite being somewhat of a hypocrite at the moment.
I think it's fantastic and it should have been done years ago for the environment.
Yeah, I agree, and I think some of the outcries are a little bit silly. I mean, people should know that it's been happening for some time. So
we think it could cause a lot of problems in so much as people will now have to buy plastic bags rather than get them and reuse them as they always do with their rubbish from their homes. So I don't think it's going to achieve anything.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I think it's about time. We've been using recycling bags for a long time, including cloth bags. I think it's about time, but probably 50 years too late.
And do you think it is a money-making scheme from large supermarkets to actually get more money from charging from bags now?
I think the thing you can rely upon a big corporation to do is to turn anything into a money-making scheme. This will be no different.
No, I don't believe that. I believe it's the government that's done this. It's nothing to do with the supermarkets. They've been instructed that they're not allowed to use plastic bags anymore.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think a little bit short-sighted that supermarkets going to do that.
And what are your views for people that have the opinion that they don't agree with it, they're not going to go back to a supermarket that actually charges? What are your views and what do you have to say to people like that?
Good luck, because I don't think they're going to be able to find any, and they just need to accept the fact that it's changed. And change is hard, but I mean, this particular change is not that difficult, I don't think.
And now there is actually evidence that these reusable bags that you'll have to buy will actually have to be used 130 times to actually outweigh, I guess, the carbon emissions from plastic bags. What are your thoughts on this?
Wow, I didn't realise it was that bad. But I suppose that the heavier plastic that they're going to use may encourage people to use them more. But then there's this health concept which has suddenly reared its head, that now that if you start putting meats and vegetables in plastic bags and you get any residue, you start using them twice, 3 times, 4 times, you may well incur some sort of illness from the residue.
Well, and people should be using their common sense, really, shouldn't they? I know a lot of the meats and that are already wrapped in plastic, which is another issue. But, I mean, they can start using containers and taking their containers to shops and filling them up with the goods and not having to worry about that side of the plastic problem as well.
And are you going to be likely to actually buy the reusable bags that cost a couple of cents or a couple of dollars?
Already own, wouldn't buy any of the reusable ones. Already have reusable bags in place, using them for the last probably 12 to 18 months, thereabouts.
How do you encourage, I guess, your family and other people that you know to actually reuse the plastic bags?
We'll, to start with, not use them and supply them with cloth bags or paper bags as part of maybe a gift or something, just to sort of tell them to put them in their car, use them in the car all the time, and then hopefully they might sort of change their thinking of things.
Well, just get in the mindset that, you know, this is how it is. You've got to do it. So get the bags, unpack and put them back in your car. Easy.
Thank you for watching. I'm Annabelle Pinardi reporting for Undercurrent.
More great Perth stories are coming up after the break, so stay tuned.